everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first video and I decided I wanted to start recording just to get some ideas out my head. I decided my first video would be about how I got started as a graphic designer and the challenges I've come across and what I've learned during my experience. I also wanted to leave some tips at the end of the video to any aspiring creatives who want to go in this career field as well. I got introduced to graphic design when I was in high school. I had a class I took at a career and technology center when I was in my junior year of high school. And basically from there I got introduced to graphic design and what design was and how to go into it as a career. I had a really cool graphic design teacher. So that kind of gave me the foundation to go into college and decide on what I wanted to major in. So from the jump, I knew I wanted to major in art. I wanted to major in design. Design was my interest. You're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to be doing anything else but art and design. And here we are. So I started college, and that's where I kind of got first introduced to the Adobe. Well, I got introduced to Photoshop in high school, but I had more of an intensive course my freshman year of college. I got introduced to like some how to use the brushes, how to blend, different things like that. So it was more like a more in-depth study of what Photoshop was. And I, took, your regular introduction, freshman classes and all that stuff. And I believe I had another art class my freshman year as well. I believe it was like a drawing class, like an introduction to drawing class. So I was drawing leaves and branches and shadows on the ground, stuff like that. But it was a pretty good experience. I would say going into my sophomore year is where things got more challenging. I got my first graphic design class. So my first semester, my sophomore year, I took it was like an introduction to graphic design class. And then like the second semester of my sophomore year, I took a introduction to typography graphic design class. So those classes introduced me to Adobe Illustrator. And that was like my first time ever knowing what a vector was and how to use Illustrator and all those things. So it was a really intense year. Like I had to learn so much so fast. And the most challenging part of my sophomore year was the fact I had to actually like submit a portfolio, like, at the end of the year. And they basically judge your portfolio against all of your other classmates and told you whether you're good enough to get in the graphic design program. So that was pretty challenging at USC. Like, I think that was like a pretty good thing. I went to the University of South Carolina, by the way, that USC. But I think it was a kind of a good thing because it exposed us to like the reality of graphic design. Like, it's very competitive out in the real world. So you have to be aware of that. This is going to be super intense. Get ready. So I didn't actually get into the graphic design program. You had to have a B or higher. So I got graded a C. So I didn't get accepted into the graphic design program in college. So let that sink in. So that was like my first slap in the real world. So I actually had to change my major from like art to like journalism. And in the journalism school, I got introduced to visual communications. Now, visual communications was not just graphic design. I took a ethics class, a copy editing class. I also took, of course, videography class and a photography class. And Adobe InDesign. That's where I first got introduced to Adobe InDesign. So that's where I had all of those. Like, it was more like a well-rounded kind of thing. It's like you got graphic design and you got all these other classes as well. So I feel like I got a really well-rounded education in that major, and it kind of further cemented that, hey, I'm in it to win it. I'm doing graphic design no matter what. So I think during the courses of, that was like my junior and senior year, I got to do all of those things, and basically I got exposure to photography as well. I learned like what a shutter speed was, what's aperture, how to shoot on manual mode, what's ISO, all that stuff. I basically got an introduction to. I also had a video class. So that was my first time like using Final Cut Pro to edit video. I also got introduced to iMovie. So it was a lot of introduction going on junior and senior year, and at the same time I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping up all the coursework. So it was definitely a challenge, but I think it kind of made me stronger because it taught me how to manage multiple things at once. And that was very realistic of how the real world is. You have to manage living and still managing your career at the same time. So I got all those basic things in college, and basically once I graduated, I did apply to different graphic design jobs. I didn't get them. So I also got my second real world experience. Like, you may think you're going to go down this one path, like straight way, you're going to get straight there. Real world doesn't work like that. So I actually started my first job as a secretary at my alma mater, and it basically kind of gave me that first introductory experience of what office is like how to work in an office on a day-to-day basis. I got to engage with a lot of different people, how to, using the phone, and I'm an introvert, so those things were a little challenging. I'm still an introvert, but I have learned how to communicate with people and how to communicate with people and network and different things like that. So after college, that was kind of like my experience, like starting working, and eventually I was like, hey, I still want to do graphic design. How do I get started? And that's where I started freelancing. I will say social media has played a big part in me doing my freelance work. I do a lot of my freelance work on evenings and weekends. I still work a day job, but I've kind of learned how to manage my time in that regard. I think at that time, I really wasn't getting that many clients. I get a few more clients now. Like, I have quite a few repeat clients. They've been working with me over a year. But at that time, like, imagine you just getting started. No one knows who you are. Like, it's a total different world. So I had to kind of establish myself, like, hey, this is what I do. This is where I am. I would say right now, I'm pretty well-rounded. I know e-learning design. I know graphic design. I know print design, I know obviously digital design. I know some video editing, how to export video, how to take pictures. I know how to do headshot photography now. Now, I will say I need to have someone to do some more of those nice headshot photography effects and stuff. I would need somebody to practice on. But I know the basics of lighting. I'm very proud of myself. It's all in the lighting when it comes to that stuff. So I would say I feel well-rounded, but it took me a lot of time, a lot of dedication to get to where I am now. And I would say the biggest thing is just, not to give up. Kind of keep grinding, keep going. If design is what you want to do it. Like, don't let nobody tell you you're not good enough, because guess what? You are. Like, learning Adobe Creative Suite is very hard. Like, I would say it took me years to get to the point where I feel confident in design. Like, it took me some years to learn InDesign. Even though I got introduced to it in college, it still took me like 2-3 years after that to feel really comfortable in it. Like, now I can hop in InDesign, make some master pages, and make some tables, and we're good to go. But it took me a while to get to that point, and there's still even more things to learn because every year there's updates to these programs, and you kind of got to keep up with it. So you also have to have some technical skill when you're a designer. You got to keep up with technology. Oh, and the computer, like, you have to have a good computer with a lot of RAM, because an 8 gigabyte machine with only 8 gigabytes of RAM is not enough. It's not gonna work. You need 16 gigabytes or more. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So invest in a really, really good computer, and it'll be able to run multiple programs. I can tell you right now, I don't work in just one program. I have InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop typically open on my computer all the time, because even if I am designing in InDesign, I probably need to edit a photo in Photoshop. So I'm still gonna need to open it up anyway. So a lot of times those 3 programs are constantly open. So you're gonna need a lot of RAM, on your computer, and a lot of hard drive space. So I think on the technical aspect, you got to consider all of those things as well. And, in my background, in my learning experience, it just takes a lot of tenacity. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have confidence in your abilities. I think there were several times I got a little discouraged in my career, but you know what? You just kind of pick yourself off and dust yourself off and keep going. Remember, you're human. We're going to make mistakes, but we're going to keep going. We're not going to give up. I don't condone anyone giving up. I have a few friends I talk to, and I tell them all the time, like, guys, we're not going to give up. We have our dreams and aspirations, so we're going to make it happen. We're going to live out our dreams. And I'm a designer, I'm a creative. That's not changing anytime soon. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. I want to give some tips out there to my aspiring creatives. The first tip I want to give my aspiring creatives is to keep going. I will say it's a very challenging field, it's very competitive, but your experience, your expertise is yours, and your mind is yours. Like, there's no one else with your exact brain. So I would say keep trying, keep practicing, keep learning these programs, keep creating. I think like that's the most important thing you do, is to continue to create. Don't give up. And I would also say is, go online, find some tutorials, and kind of use that as a stepping stone to kind of practice your skills, even if you may not come up with anything. Use Behance and Dribbble are awesome websites to see people's work, see what people are creating, and it kind of gives you a chance to be like, okay, I love this idea. This is awesome packaging design. This is awesome stationery. This is an awesome logo. Let me see if I can create something. Like, it kind of gives you those ideas to get started. I would keep a notepad. I'm not one for writing physically because that's paper, then I lose it. I prefer to write down notes on my phone. So I use like the Notes app and Asana. Like, I love those two apps. I'll literally be outside walking my dog and be like, oh, I have an idea, and I'll jot it down in my Asana. Then I'll come back to it later. I'll drop in links if I see something I like and be like, oh, I love this concept, and kind of go from there. Like, I make it like a starting point for where I want to take it. And, always think about things like that. Like, actually right now I have a lot of stuff on my computer I have not necessarily posted. They're just to kind of keep my ideas fresh. If I want to post them, I will, but a lot of stuff I just kind of keep for myself at this point. I think when I first got started, I posted more stuff than I do now, but I think now I kind of want to focus more on kind of spreading knowledge, giving advice, giving more inspiration to people, and that's what I'm kind of focusing on. But I still, I'm constantly doing design work all the time, and I'm still working. I have a lot of ideas I still want to flesh out. I even I started making templates. I know some designers don't like Canva, but Canva is actually pretty awesome. I've made some assets in Illustrator and imported it into Canva. So, it can work. You can actually, it makes it super easy to make templates that someone else can edit. I run into people that are not necessarily designers, and it's just made it easy for me to share a design that they can edit. I can build the base of it, and then they can continue to edit. So I make templates. I have a Etsy store. I sell different little SVG graphics people can use to print on items and whatnot. I really enjoy like doing stuff like that. That's kind of like my side thing. And when I get ideas, then they kind of pop up on those platforms. I have Etsy, Pixel Creations. That's me. And then I have a website, osopeachy.com. that I sell, templates on. I actually, next year, I want to go into making some more templates. I actually have some Pinterest templates I have not finished yet, so that should be getting uploaded soon. I know a lot of people use Pinterest, and I had some great ideas from templates. It's just not shared yet. So once, I have it up, stay tuned. It's going on my Etsy store. Be sure to like me and favorite me on Etsy. And another thing for my creatives, I will say that, sometimes in life things get a little challenging. You may not be where you think you should be at this point in life, but keep grinding. Like, you never know where you can go. Think about the type of person you want to work with, the type of client you want to work with. Do you want to be a design consultant? Think about where you want to be. Gotta give yourself like a deadline, like, hey, I want to do this in the next 2-3 years, and kind of work backwards. Like, say, okay, by the next year and a half, I should be here. The next year, the next 6 months, the next 3 months. Like, kind of make your goal and then work backwards. And then write it all down in Asana. You know, you can literally give yourself deadlines for a subtask in Asana. And I do that all the time. I'll be like, okay, I got to get this done. I'll set reminders in my phone like, hey, you need to work on this tonight. Like, you need to edit this tonight. Like, you know, so you have to kind of hold yourself accountable and stay organized. You know, stay going with your personal creative ideas. Like, don't give up. Your idea is unique. Don't think your idea is stupid. Just keep grinding, keep working at it, and keep making it. Don't think, oh, I posted this, I only got 2 likes, and then stop. No, keep posting. Like, trust me, it's like somebody's going to come across your work, they're going to love it, and they're going to contact you and say, hey, I want to work with you. So, you know, they can't do that if you don't have a portfolio up, if you don't have a website, you don't have a contact page, you know. So I would say, like, prepare, you know, think about what I want for someone to do when they contact me. How do I prepare for that moment? Like, that's how I think. Like, how do I want to appear to somebody who's never seen my page before? How do I want to appear to them? And then I go from there. So as a creative, think about how you want to represent yourself online and kind of build from there. So that's all for my introductory video. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be having more videos come up. I actually have a lot of ideas right now I'm thinking about talking about, but be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.